Hello, people. How's it going? First of all, as we are entering election season pretty soon, it's amazing how COVID knows it's election season, and all of a sudden, COVID is rising. And you want to know why COVID is rising? Because it's an election year, or election season, going into real election year. That is why. COVID is political. COVID has always been political. It has never been about the science, which is constantly being proven wrong. But let's follow the science anyway. But because I'm a sheep, look. I want to talk about a real pandemic. Read that book, okay? In the winter of 1918, at the height of World War One, history most lethal influenza virus, which is pretty much what we had in the last 2020, 2021, which is all it was, erupted in an army camp in Kansas, moved east with American troops, and exploded, killing as many as 100 million people worldwide. That is a pandemic. That killed a lot of people. What we had to put up with on this planet for almost 2 years was political. Okay, was it a virus? Was it killing people? Of course it was. It was another strain of the flu virus. That's all it was. We had a very bad flu season, like we have every year. Do you realize we have a pandemic every year called the flu season? It's funny how the flu season disappeared. Strangely, it turned into COVID. Yeah, I am one of those people. I never got the vaccine. I'm not going to. I have this thing called an immune system, and it works. I can tell you part of the reason why COVID was so deadly because of all the drugs people take, all the medications people take. I mean, if you actually listen to the side effects of some of these drugs people take, they sound worse than the problem. I mean, I've heard ads for medication were just for your skin. Warning, this may cause you to want to kill yourself. Or something may happen to your organs. Okay, let me get this straight. You want me to smear something that's meant for my skin and you want me to it might kill me? No, thank you. Look, it's very simple. From day one of the COVID thing, it was politics. It was political. It was nothing but political. Was it a medical problem? Yes. I know at least one or two people who are in the medical profession. Well, three actually. Three people. One's a doctor, and one was going to be a doctor, and the other one's a healthcare worker. They were there. They had to deal with what COVID was actually doing. They didn't have time to deal with the politics of it. But don't tell me that COVID wasn't politicized. A very bad strain of the flu virus was killing people. That happens every single year on this planet. Every year. Millions of people die from the flu. Plain and simple. Every year. But we had to get rid of Trump. We had to politicize it to the point to where, well, maybe we shouldn't have elections. Maybe we should monitor elections. Maybe we should not have as many people in elections. So on and so forth. You're never going to convince me that it wasn't political. You're never going to convince me that the COVID pandemic was anything other than a political tool. You're just not going to convince a lot of people. And people are still wearing masks. And they're still wearing masks in cars when they're the only people in the car. That tells me something. I knew when this started that the mask thing was never going to go away. They were going to use it over and over again, particularly during election season. It's funny how all of a sudden it is rising again during election season. I wonder why. It has nothing to do with the virus. Excuse me. I used to watch people at cash registers with those plastic shield things, and people would just walk around the plastic shield things. Like, so you have the plastic shield over here, but the people are standing over here. What are you protecting yourself from if you actually think this is a problem, a real problem? Because it never made any sense to me, and it still doesn't. And I had people try to justify and rationalize this in ways that defy understanding to me. I mean, there are sheep on this planet. Unfortunately, the COVID, whatever you want to call it, convinced me that there are more sheep on this planet than there are non-sheep. People just accept whatever science tells them, and then when science is proven wrong, they still say, "But we got to follow the science anyway." No, I'm not going to follow the science. Science is wrong. Science is wrong because science has been corrupted by politics too. That's partly why I had a very hard time even taking it seriously, because I really didn't. I never got sick. I never had the shot. I rarely, if I was forced, did I wear a mask, rather reluctantly every time. I never got sick, ever. I was fine. You know why? I told you why. I have an immune system and it works. Now the COVID mandates are gonna. Yeah, you do that. You do that during an election year. Yeah, it has nothing to do with politics. Bullshit. Of course it does. It has everything to do with politics. That's all this has ever been about, is politics. This book is about a real pandemic that killed 100 million people, 100 million people in about 2 or so years. What we had to put up with in 2020 and 2021 was not killing hundreds of millions of people or tens of millions of people. It was a political tool, plain and simple. Just like a lot of other things in this country, politics, once politics enters the picture, once politics gets its little grubby little hands into it, it's over. Common sense is out the window. Actually, standing up saying no is out the window. Because you will be viewed as a problem. I was listening to all these stories of these people literally being triggered by people not wearing a mask. People literally being triggered by people way over there not wearing a mask. There are people still wearing masks now. They're still wearing them. They don't need to anymore. They're still wearing them. In cars, by themselves. In grocery stores. And other places. And like, I see people taking walks and wearing the mask. What are you protecting yourself from? What? I'm sorry. To me, the COVID thing was a political tool to destroy a presidency. They were going to do everything they could to use that medical problem. And it was a medical problem. Don't get me wrong. Medically speaking, it was a pandemic of sorts. It was a problem. It was a new strain of the flu virus, but it was the flu virus. Okay? As I said before, I had several people who I knew in the medical profession who I said, yes, you're doing the right thing. You are fighting a medical virus, a medical problem. Get the politics out. Once politics enters anything, it corrupts it. Politics should not be in the medical profession in any shape, manner, or form. However, we live in the age of politics, where politics enters everything, and it will corrupt everything. I mean, I'm sorry. I saw people literally at each other's throats over masks, over the COVID vaccine shots, which basically was causing more problems than they were worth. It's funny how the people who took the shots were having more problems with the COVID virus than the people who didn't. You know, all those people who are supposed to die because they didn't take the shot. Well, I'm still here. I haven't died. It is frustrating to me because to me it demonstrates just how easy too many people are manipulated, don't mind being manipulated, and even though they're being manipulated, but don't care. Well, I had to put up with being told I had to wear a mask at certain places. I just walked out of the store. I just said, no, I'm not wearing one. I'll come back when the mask mandate is no longer a problem, when it's no longer necessary for me to walk around with a piece of cloth on my face. The holy garment, the virtue, the mask of virtueness. I know it's not a real word, but it's close. It's politics. This is one reason why I don't like politics. This is one reason why I have a problem with politics. It has corrupted every single thing it has ever touched. Medical profession, sports, the church. I mean, was there a medical problem? Yes. I have never once denied that there is a problem. I never once said there's this virus out there and it's a very high strain, and maybe certain people should wear masks, like the elderly People whose immune systems are compromised, immune systems that are not well adapted to this new problem. But children walking around in masks don't need to walk around in masks. Their immune systems will take care of themselves. And most of them do. Oh, excuse me. I'm serious. Want to read about a real pandemic? I'm going to keep showing this book for a reason. This is a real pandemic. This showed 100 million people. This is a real. This is a history you need to read, and then tell me this is anything like what we had to put up with in 2020 and 2021. It isn't. It is frustrating to me. I'm sorry, it is. I watch some of these people still walking around in masks, and I want to ask them, why are you wearing it still? Why? It's over. The science was proven very wrong, and it's still being proven wrong, yet they still wear them. To me, it's symbolic. To me, it's symbolic of people's inability to think for themselves, want to think for themselves, and just can't think for themselves. And holy government is going to save them from a virus that the government can't control. To me, it's all political. It always has been political. From day one, the COVID thing has been political. It's amazing how they stopped counting the numbers once our present president came into office. Amazing how all of a sudden it stopped. All of a sudden it became less and less a problem. Don't tell me it wasn't political, because it was. Just like most things, unfortunately, is political. And I'm going to keep saying political, because that's what it frickin' is. Because that's what it is. We have literally, too many people have made politics their religion. Politics and government is their religion and their God. And until that God says you can breathe normally, they're going to keep those masks on, and they don't need to. Wearing those masks in this heat, I'm sorry, that's more dangerous to your health than the COVID virus will ever be. I'm sorry. I know people get upset. They don't like the fact that I don't follow the science. I love the science that keeps changing and keeps telling me, oh, we were wrong about that. Oh, that's not happening. Yeah, I'm not going to follow a science that is constantly having to rewrite itself, but never once apologizing for the damage it's done to people, businesses. A lot of damage was done in this country because of the politicization of the COVID virus. Period. And you're not going to prove me wrong or anybody else. A lot of other people wrong. But it is what it is. Politics entered the picture to destroy a presidency, to destroy the economic engine that was moving quite well. Because politics is more important to some people than truth and science. Real science. Because real science would have said, really, we're kind of overreacting here. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a new virus. We should do something about it. But, let's not take 2 years to realize that, oh, we screwed up, but we're not going to admit to that. I don't know. I get frustrated. It kind of depresses me when I watch these people walking around with their masks on, and I'm thinking, you don't have to wear them anymore. Just breathe. You'll be fine. Let your immune system work. And I think part of the problem is a lot of the drugs people take for everything else is destroyed their immune system. I maintain that's a lot of the reasons why the death toll was so high, was people's immune system has been so destroyed and so compromised and so weakened by all these drugs. Just read the after effects, read the side effects of some of these drugs. And no wonder it killed so many people, because their immune system couldn't do anything. I don't take drugs. I don't take medication. I breathe. I breathe, and my lungs was where my immune system was healthy for the most part. Of course, again, I ride a bike 24/7, the whole year long. So it does help, but I'm kind of active and athletic. And I'm active, and I'm not complacent. I'm not sedentary. But I think a lot of the problems, a lot of those deaths were caused by the fact that the drugs people take has so weakened and destroyed their immune systems that they could not handle it. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, that's also been politicized. Everything has been politicized. I mean, it's sad. It's frustrating. It's angry. It's frustrating. It's sad to realize that so many people fell for it. Now, at least didn't think about it first. Forget about fell for it. Because a lot of people just believe what they were told because, hey, this is a scientist, this is a doctor, they should know better. Yeah, it's politics. Well, we're almost at 16 minutes, and I don't want to make this too long. But find this book, read it, and then compare it to the nonsense we went through a few years ago, and tell me they're equal, because they're not. But anyway, well, people like, subscribe, comment, share, behave yourselves, because I'm not going to. Later.